hate doing that because I know on this show y'all tell me how much I hate women. So
I was going to say it, but since you said it yourself,
misogynist and misogynoir too, Jason.
Yeah, well, look, man, I can't hope who I am in life.
Charming thief and a band of unlikely adventurers embark on an epic quest to retrieve a long-lost relic. But their charming adventure goes dangerously awry when they run afoul of the wrong people. That is what Google says about the movie Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves. Now, if you don't know, now you know. For everything we do a one-sentence review. And of course, ladies first, Lisa, start off with the one-sentence review for Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves.
Okay, my one-sentence review for Dungeons & Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves is, okay, I stand corrected. Go see it.
Fair enough. Jason, hit us with your one-sentence review.
My one-sentence review for Dungeons & Dragons is this dungeoned up a bunch of laughs and dragged me on the adventure.
Nice. You get snaps for that.
Mine's very simple. It's a nat 20. Dungeons & Dragons, everybody. You'll get it.
Yes. Nice. Insider.
Nice.
Insider ball. All right. I know tonight we were going to try a different formula. So, guys, please, bear with us as we work this out. Because I feel like if it doesn't work, we just will all blame Jason. So, makes it easier.
That's what my dad did when he divorced my mom.
Okay.
So, divorce my mom. All right. So we're going to start off always with love when we do these reviews. So if Jason would like to jump in, and what were the pros or the best things about this movie that you enjoyed?
I have 5 pros for this.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna do all 5. We're gonna do all my pros at once. So here we go.
Yeah,
all my pros at once. Firstly, this feels like it's telling a D&D story. This feels like you're playing a D&D game. That's my first pro. Second, it's funny. It's silly, it's charming, without taking away the serious moments. There are a couple of serious moments, and unlike a Marvel movie where they'll do a joke right in the between of that serious moment, they actually give it time and space to breathe. Thirdly, a ton of little references and Easter eggs that about D&D without being it nostalgia baity, right? Without going, look at that, look at that, look at that. But if you know, you can say, oh, look at that, look at that, look at that. It's great. All the performances are spot on, well done, great, even Chris Pine. And lastly, Jonathan. That's all I'm
Jonathan.
Just the way she says his name, it's so great. Now, we have a moment right here where we go, Lisa, do you have any rebuttals to his pros? Are you in line with it, or you think he's talking crazy about something he's mentioned?
I disagree with Chris Pine.
Do
I say that now, or do I wait?
No, we're gonna save it. We're gonna save it. Okay, disagree with Chris Pine.
So I'm just doing rebuttals, right? So I
disagree. Yeah. If you have any rebuttals from his right now, without going into detail, what do you?
Yeah, I think Chris Pine is probably it. Everything else I pretty much agree with.
Okay, well then let's get your pros. What are your pros about Dungeons and Dragons?
So my pro is the cast, like the actual casting. I loved it.
I feel like family.
Yeah, that's the theme of the evening, obviously. Also, this is like super nerdy, but I love the map at the very beginning and how it like showed it, and I was just like, oh yes, thank you, love it. And I felt like we were walking on the map with them. It didn't take itself too seriously, which I was a little worried about, and I love that it didn't. It was just like the perfect amount of comedy and seriousness. Michelle Rodriguez, she, in my opinion, between her and Doric, I think they stole the show. And then the ending, I thought it was just a nice little, it wasn't too long, it wasn't too short, it was just a nice little bow, and it was very good. I did not want to see this movie at all. And I was so happy it was so good.
All right, Jason. Any rebuttals? Anything you're right in line or?
I'm right in line with everything she said. I mean, like, this is going to be one of those episodes where a lot of the times we're going to agree. It's not going to be one of those.
Maybe the next one, not so much.
Yeah, maybe the next one, not so much. But this one, she's on the money.
Yeah.
All right, I guess
Let's take apart
I don't have
Jason.
any rebuttals. Yeah, I don't have no rebuttals. Let's see. My pros. I agree. This did feel like a dungeon master had really made and created this world, and we were going through it. The film does look like if the special effects were bad, they were going to throw those people in a dungeon, because this film actually looked really, really good, which I was really, really surprised and shocked by. The one thing I thought was a huge pro is the pacing of the movie. This is like a 2-hour long movie, and it did not feel that way at all. I actually saw it twice. I saw it with my kids, and then I went back and saw it with Coach Boo. And both times I was like, man, this movie just rolls.
Hey,
oh yeah,
Jason,
sorry.
I'm going
It's
to go
fine.
see
We don't have
Coach
feelings.
Boo.
We don't have feelings. It's fine. It's fine.
Okay, well, you can make that as a rebuttal to my comment.
Okay.
I know we talked about Chris Pine, but I mean, fuck Chris Pine. Hugh Grant, man, like, wow, what a performance, man.
That makes up for him being found in the bathroom with a transvestite or a person.
I don't know if it makes up for it, because if he's in, I'm not going to kink shame. I'm not going to kink shame.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's what he's into. And then I think I agree with you all. Jason hit it right on the head, like really nailed it through. The right mix of humor, drama, and action and heart without taking away from any of those elements individually was very well done in the movie. So, yeah, those are our pros. So
Rebuttal.
All right.
You said this movie looks great, and for the most part, you are right. Except for those halflings, they were badly composited. I was like, y'all gotta try something better for this. But other than that, yes, you were absolutely
Maybe
right.
they ran out of money.
Right.
Oh crap, we gotta put halflings in this.
What did Peter Jackson do? We don't have time for that. Just do this.
Maybe they had the editors from, remember whenever they had to reshoot, was it Superman versus Batman, where they had to get rid of the mustache.
Yeah.
So maybe they had the same editors.
We can't have Bradley Cooper just play a regular person. That's weird. Like,
who knows? Oh god, that shit's so funny.
He just love Dungeons and Dragons, because why take that role if you don't love Dungeons and Dragons?
Because your friends are
honestly. What friends?
Yeah, still. Yeah. All right, Jason, what are your cons?
All right, my cons. Even though I agree with Lisa and love Michelle Rodriguez and Sophia Lillis as Holga and Dork. I don't feel like they have much of an arc, either of them, and I thought that was dumb. Dork goes and says, "Humans hate me," and we never bring it up again. That's my first con. Secondly, this is a nitpicky one because
I'm gonna rebut that con, but I'll wait till I'm gonna
let me finish first, man.
I'm gonna rebut that con. I don't mind Michelle's arc because it's subtle and it plays.
Yeah, hers is subtle.
It plays for the end. I will agree with you though. Old girl is terrible in this movie, but anyway, that's it. But I do think Michelle Rodriguez's arc is way more subtle than I think you're giving it credit for.
Yeah, well, I'm more on the line of Doric's arc rather than Michelle Rodriguez's arc, because there is a slight arc for Michelle Rodriguez's character where there is none for Doric's. So that's more, but there could be more as opposed to the other two male characters in this movie. This is the nitpicky one. Elgrin or whatever his name is, Chris Pine's character doesn't do anything that's bardic other than play a lute. If you play D&D, bards do a lot more stuff than just sit there and play lutes and tell stories. They are very, very useful magic class. In fact, when I get to play Dungeons and Dragons, play a bard. I don't know what that says about me. No, Mom, I'm not bisexual, but maybe I am. Who cares?
It's all a spectrum.
It's all a spectrum. Right? But lastly, and this is the one that I've been saying for ever now. This is Dungeons and Dragons, guys. This is supposed to be your imagination, right? And even though the Aarakocras look great, the one orc that they had looked great. The Dragonborns look very great. I need this to be the forefront of this movie. I need this to be out there, and like I need every scene to be a cosplayer's wet dream, where they go, "Oh, that's amazing! Oh, that's amazing! Oh, that's amazing!" And they want to be this, and it's a little bit limited for someone who has played a lot of D&D. For, in my humble opinion, that would be my last con.
Lisa, what are your cons? What did you not care for as much in the movie?
I'm debating if I want to rebuttal him.
Ooh, I love rebuttals.
Here's
Rebuttal my butt.
The thing about Doric, what's Doric's real name? Lily?
Sophia Lillis.
So Sophia Lillis and Michelle Rodriguez is nothing would have gotten accomplished without them. They literally did everything.
Everything.
So, yes. So that's why I love them so much. But I see what you're saying, that like their stories were they were just there for plot movers when they could have had better stories. So I agree with you. However, the movie could not have existed without them. Therefore, they had a significant part. But I get what you're saying. So it's not really a rebuttal, but
I want more of them. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's what I want.
And I kind of disagree with the cosplaying. I think the whole movie was a cosplayer. I mean, it felt like you're at the Ren Fest, and that's literally a cosplayer. I mean, when it comes to Dungeons and Dragons, I always kind of, in my mind, every time we've played, I've always thought of it basically just walking around Ren Fest and just seeing, all that stuff. And then you also get orcs and dragons. I personally was disappointed with how many, I thought there was going to be several orcs.
Yes. More than just one.
Because that's like the biggest, that's like the thing that always, especially when it's like your first time ever playing, like you're gonna die. Like you're come up against it and they're gonna kill you. Like that's just like the rite of passage of Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. So I would have liked that. Okay. So anyway, that was my only rebuttal. Here's my cons. These are also very nitpicky, but Chris Pine kept feeling like Jason Bateman to me. And I couldn't figure out if he was acting like Jason Bateman or
it was
if that was like his character, or is he always like that? Because go ahead.
Oh, I'm just speaking of Jason Bateman. I have a anecdote because apparently Jason Bateman is a huge Dungeons and Dragons fan, and he might have been cast for this movie because a guy that I played Dungeons and Dragons with used to own a comic book store, and when they started shooting Ozarks, Jason Bateman actually came in there to scout his comic book store for a location, and ended up talking to him for like 2 hours about Dungeons and Dragons.
Mm-hmm.
And that it didn't happen to me, but did happen to a guy that I know who I played Dungeons and Dragons with.
Practically,
I mean, this is a lie. I mean, this is not a source. He just made it up, guys. Yeah, the guy I know that worked at a comic book store. He said Jason Bateman was
I literally play Dungeons and Dragons with him every other week. All right, so like,
so it could have been written. So it could have been written for him.
Yeah,
and then I mean, it felt like Chris Pine acting like Jason Bateman. And so I mentioned this to our executive producer, my life partner, and partner in crime, Jamesa. And he said that that's just how Chris Pine acts all the time. So now I'm going to have to, he's not one of my favorite Chris's. I don't hate him. He's not, he's not Chris Pratt, but, so.
When you say he's not Chris Pratt, you mean Chris Pratt's the least favorite.
Correct.
Chris
He's literally the worst.
I can't wait to clear that up.
Yeah, the worst Chris.
He's no Chris Evans. That's what we're saying.
Yeah. He wishes he were Chris Evans. Get out of here. So that because whenever you'd have something quippy and something funny, I would laugh, and then I'd be like, kind of feels like I'm listening to Jason Bateman say this. So, but again, very nitpicky. He was still very funny, and he was very on point. But that's just for me. That's what it felt like. Okay, this scene. So this is a spoiler, y'all. This is a spoiler, but this.
Who cares? We're spoiling it. Bam, bam.
Well,
bam,
actually,
spoil.
let me just do the other. Let me do the other one, and then we'll get to the spoiler. I wanted more of the wizard. What's his name?
I don't care. Yeah,
The-
bald
yeah.
head.
Yeah, I wanted more of him. I thought he
Kaz.
was very underutilized.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
especially when we were talking about a Dungeons and Dragons story. I was like, what the F? Like, he literally just has like a little chunk in the middle, and then you see him again at the end. But yep. And okay, so that's it. So to the spoilery part.
Spoiler. Boo, 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 boo.
The last scene, whenever Chris Pine uses the tablet to bring back Michelle Rodriguez, I wanted him to just do it. I didn't want the daughter to give him permission. I didn't want the daughter to be like, "It's okay, save her."
She's actually my mommy, so I don't.
Yeah,
give a crap
I
about this
wanted
other
him.
shit.
I wanted him to just look at the tablet, have the flashbacks, and then save her. And then I wanted later the daughter to be like, "Oh my God, you lost a chance to get mom back." And then that gives the opportunity to say, "No, I got the only mom you ever had." Yeah. Like, so that, I mean, like I said, very nitpicky. And that just comes from, I think, years of being a romance reader and just like knowing when to set those like sweet little moments. And so I just think they missed the mark on that. But
rebuttal. Actually, it's not a rebuttal. It's a a-hole comment. How was they going to bring the mother back when she was burnt up?
Magic, duh.
Yeah, magic.
Oh, okay. All right. I mean, you guys do this more than I do, but that was the first thing I kept thinking the whole movie was like, they burnt her body. Her body's like bones in like it's no skin, it's just bones. Like,
look,
or ashes.
all Dungeons and Dragons is Deus Ex Machina after Deus Ex Machina. It doesn't matter. Like,
okay.
My rebuttal is that there doesn't need to be romance. They're platonic friends, Lisa.
No, I'm not talking about romance. Like, I didn't want them to be romantically involved. I just meant like from years of reading happily ever after.
Yeah.
Like, that's
right.
I obviously like your version of that way better than what they present to us.
That's
absolutely.
That's how you know.
Either way, I was still freaking. Me and Jaren were like crying.
Oh yeah, I cried. Definitely, I cried during that
me
movie.
and Jaren. I look over to Jaren, and Jaren's got tears running down his face. And I'm like, what are you doing to me? And I'm crying. He's crying. We're both crying. It was not a good look, guys.
Sissies. Now my time for cutting up joking. Can you still use the word sissy? Is that like a bad thing now?
No. Edit that out.
Okay. Hold on.
Edit that out.
Like, if you're not even talking about someone
who's
who's
talking about
gay,
me being a cisgender man, I'm sissy in that way.
Oh, okay. And I'm just asking because I feel like I stumbled across like a bunch of old school insults, and I was like, oh man, I forgot when people used to like my mother would say things like, "Oh, he got some sugar in his tank."
Oh, my dad
when I was a kid,
that too.
I never knew what that was. And when I got older, I was like, "Oh yeah, that means he." But like, I didn't know if like I remember using sissy was like a term of like,
no, they were definitely
stop being a punk.
No. That was never stop being a punk. It meant stop being gay.
Yep.
Oh, well, I meant like when they were using it to like other men that they knew that weren't gay. Like it was usually in a moment when somebody was acting like a punk. Now, if they're using it against someone who's gay, then yes, I mean, obviously. Anyway, it just a very weird word that I was like.
Question is no, we do not say that anymore. I
think I'm gonna bring it back, man. I think I'm gonna die on this. I'm joking,
No.
I'm all for reclaiming terms, but that's not what we can reclaim, guys.
Yeah. All right, so going on to my cons. Yes, sissy is a con. We don't use that word anymore. That's one. No, joking. Yes. The main villain, bald head shorty, didn't do it for me. I'd rather they wish they would have like figured out a way to give Hugh Grant the powers, which would have made it more appealing when like, you know, how she got worked at the end. It would have been more appealing if it was Hugh Grant's body getting worked like that. But she didn't do it for me. The red wizard thing, I feel like there's a lot of meat left on that bone, which maybe is going to be used for sequels. But I felt like in this one, you never made them feel like the threat that they were always proportioning them to be. Because, I mean, yeah, she put some hands on them, but they're supposed to be bad at their job. So, but she got beat by the ones that were bad. It was like Ant-Man beating Kang. It was like, hold on, how is she supposed to be this powerful? And she got worked by the guy who reformed, that said he didn't want to do it no more. The exiled, like the bad magician. Like it just seemed very reluctant that she just got worked by 4 people in the middle of a square, and she was supposed to be so powerful. So I thought that just didn't do anything for me. But they had to wrap up the movie, so I get it. Um, and one of my points were to be like Jason about being more fantastical, but I will go to another thing. Um, Sophia Lillis, I think she's not a good actress in this movie or actor in this movie. And I'm watching it twice. Really, it made it come out more when I'm not wild by the things that she was doing. When you actually just watch the line delivery, and I think she was trying to play something stoic, but it just came off like stale and stiff.
Mm-hmm.
Like Michelle Rodriguez, who plays stoic very well, which I thought that was kind of weird too, that you already have one character like that, and the other character felt very trending that way. It just, I don't know. I don't know what they were trying to do with her acting wise. Maybe that's what I want to say. And I think part of it has to do, like you said, Jason, is that she didn't really have a storyline to get her at one spot and then show her at a different spot by the end of the movie. It just, she was there. Even they tried a bit with the whole like, oh, I guess she's going out with old boy who's like half human, and she get a smirk at the end, and it was kind of like, yeah, but was that really earned? Like,
oh yeah, he finally does something for you, so now you're gonna date him. That's dumb.
I just, and I agree with Lisa. Like, without the women here, like, it's funny how the women were used not for their sexuality, but for their ability. But I felt like they weren't giving any kind of urgency that was worth the ability that they had. I mean, hell, the biggest urgency that was given to a degree to Michelle Rodriguez's character is the fact that like Chris Pine knew in every situation she would get them out of it. Like, and that was like the joke to give her urgency. Even the whole blacksmith scene where she's like, "Nah, I'll take them, just go." And it's like, I felt like, yeah, they used them as a instead of using their sexuality, they used their ability, but it didn't really give them more. And so anyway, but my real con is just that I think Sophia Lilly, I don't know if it was the direction or her skills. I've seen her act better in other things, so I just think it was the direction. Yeah. And it's a Netflix show that she had too that she's pretty decent in as well.
I can't remember the name.
Yeah, End of the World or something. Yeah, but I just think in this one she just wasn't that good, and I hate doing that because I know on this show y'all tell me how much I hate women. So
I was gonna say it, but since you said it yourself,
misogynist and misogynoir too, Jason.
Yeah, well. Look, man, I can't hope who I am in life. I work hard to change. You guys changed me today. Y'all told me I can't use the S word. So there you go. That's a change, guys.
We learn something new every day in this show.
It just takes little moments, little bites of life to change. We got you.
I was gonna. Are you done with your cons?
Yeah. That's it. That's my.
I did have a rebuttal, but I can't remember what it was. Something that you said.
I had one to say. Obviously, you hate women, but he said it, so it's fine. We're good.
Beautiful. I filibustered and ate milder.
Oh,
it worked.
My rebuttal was that they didn't make old girl feel that powerful, and that's because that's how Dungeons and Dragons is. They leveled up during the game, and she's just the current big bad evil guy. So like, yeah, she's going to get waxed by the party at the end of this. Like that's the way it is. Indeed.
That's the way it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's my rebuttal.
It's okay.
I mean, if as a movie, yeah, that makes sense. As a D&D game, it makes even more sense.
Voila.
All right. So before we get down to the rundown, quick questions. Did anybody feel like I made a mention about the MacGuffins? Like there's a lot of MacGuffins in this movie to move it forward. Do you feel like that was too much, or because you guys are players, it felt like this is what playing is? And if anybody doesn't know what a MacGuffin is, Jason, please use the words for us.
It's just any sort of item that helps move the plot along. Anything that helps solve a problem, or anything that usually in most movies, it's something that's being sought after that helps resolve the problem. It's a MacGuffin. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be a dildo. It's the MacGuffin.
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
Yeah. And as to your question, Jason, I think it's exactly along the lines of a D&D campaign where you're constantly seeking out the next big item to do the thing with, because you can only tell so many stories in a D&D game. Yeah. And you got to get them to do stuff and go to dungeons, and there needs to be a reason why to go to dungeon, and mostly it's because they need to get a thing that helps them do another thing. So I like the fact that they had this thing and that thing, and they used them all, so it's good.
Lisa, what do you think?
I agree. I don't think it had too many. This type of story, it needed it otherwise, because it was already kind of, fantastical and ridiculous anyway. So yeah, just play with it. Let it be what it is. You need A to get to B to get to C to, and that's fine. And those types of things, tropes exist for a reason because they work.
Yeah.
And so no, I don't think it was too MacGuffin heavy. I think if they would have missed a step, people would have kind of been a little mad about it,
Yes.
If it was too,
yes.
if it's too easy. So
just like the final boss, piece of cake.
Yeah.
Too easy.
Oh, that reminds me of you've seen Equilibrium, yes?
Yes.
mhm.
Yeah.
The reason why Taye Diggs goes down so easily is because Kurt Warner, the writer and director of Equilibrium, always like, if you're in your mind, if you're going to face against your bully doesn't get a hit on you. You beat their ass. And that might be the thing. Well, they still got their asses kicked. Someone died.
Yes.
So it wasn't as easy as you said it was, Jason, because someone died.
Good point. I recant my statement to a degree.
Yeah. Get your gun out of here. Get that.
What do you think is the most overrated scene in the movie? Oh, underrated scene. Yes.
Lisa, you want to go first?
I don't have one. I was trying to rack my brain and I couldn't. I didn't have one.
I have one. And it's in the trailer. And when I saw the trailer, I was like, this is going to be dumb. And it's when they're asking the corpse the 5 questions.
Oh, that's so funny.
And I was like, that is going to be dumb. Because it's like, oh, it's the low-hanging fruit where they're like, oh, how many questions do I get to ask? 5. I'm like, no, that wasn't the question. I thought that was going to be the bit. And I was like, this is like the dumbest bit. But when they keep going with it, oh my God, it was pure gold. And they kept asking people who just didn't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Next.
And they ask me another question.
And they left one guy after 4 questions. He's like, I got one more. It's like, nah, it's fine.
I'm shocked that my underrated scene I had 2 because I thought Lisa was going to take the one I initially had. My most underrated scene is, and I can't think of his name, when old boy's walking away and he goes, you think he's going to move out of the way of the rock? Is it? No. He just went right over it. I popped so loud in the theater. Everybody's like, why is that so funny? But to me, that was just so funny to me. I couldn't explain why I thought that was so funny. Like, nope. He's just going to go right over top of it. Like, it just finished Persona so well. Like, all right. And
what's your second one?
Oh, the second one I had was, again, going with the same thing, was that his lack of understanding when he would say, like, oh, I was being sarcastic, whatever. He would make comments and be like, oh, I don't know what that is. Or like, him being very like, most people who like do the Thor and Drax thing, where it's like people say stuff and they just misunderstand it. The fact that he would address his misunderstanding of it and be like, hey, I don't do that. Like, I thought that was pretty funny to me. Like, yeah, I don't do that. Like, it was great. But,
there was a lot of moments that, especially between Helga and Renee J. Jean Page, Zennick's character. They felt very Draxus to me, but never so Draxus that are like, oh, they're just doing Drax. Right. They changed it up just a little bit. We're like, oh, that's a fresh taste, because Helga was never too like on the nose like Drax is. Like, she understood like things. She was just very like earnest what they said, like, you could turn into a deer.
Right.
We don't need a deer.
That was great. Yeah. That was great.
What she turned into? A deer. So you did.
A deer.
And then our last one, which out of our main characters or anybody in the movie, who would you be in your own personal campaign?
Not one of them.
Okay.
None of them are sexy mommy tieflings. Who are purple, who are 6'4", who can pick me up and I can go, Mom, Daddy wants Milky's, Mommy.
Jason just wants Snook Snook. He just wants Snook Snook.
What the fuck?
As we drift right on past that, Lisa, what about you?
Doric. I would choose Doric. I have a character kind of similar to her.
Druids can't wild shape into owl bears. They're monstrosities, not beasts.
Oh, well. Glad to know that, internet nerd. Thank you for addressing the cheap seats in the back, Jason, because we know somebody would have said that, and
Yeah.
I'm glad you get that out there for us. Mine would be Jonathan. I mean, that would be which is probably a MacGuffin,
funny.
technically.
And I know we're done with our formula, but I just want to say, like, that Jonathan bit really could have been. It
In a
could have been
game.
too much. Like, it could have been like
Mhm.
something that would have been annoying.
Yeah.
But they performed it so well that it was so funny that you actually got 2 jokes out of it because you got one later, you know. And
Right.
so yeah,
I saw
Enough
this
with the
on,
Jonathan.
I saw this on a couple of reviews, but like it definitely piqued my mind when I was watching this. It's like it sounded like if you're playing a D&D game and they're like, "Oh, what are the names of the guys, or who are the guys who are going to be doing the panel?" And it's like, "Oh, it's going to be a halfling, a dragonborn, a human, and a Aarakocra." Oh, cool, Aarakocra. What's Aarakocra's name? Like, I don't fucking know. Jonathan. Okay, cool. We have a plan. It's like you
Right.
named the Aarakocra Jonathan because you just couldn't think of another name.
Yeah.
That's why his name
Good
is
for them.
Jonathan.
It'd be better for them. Made me able to relate so much that I'm like, I want him for my campaign.
Yeah.
The last part of this, we're going to do just we call the rundown real quick. This is strictly for the Twitter and the gram. Jason, give me all your pros, all your cons, and your rating.
All right. Pros. Feels like a D&D telling a D&D story. It's funny, silly, charming, without taking too much for the serious parts. A ton of references and Easter eggs about D&D without being nostalgic bait. And all the performances spot on and well done. And Jonathan. Cons. The female characters, particularly Doric, don't have much of an arc. Eden doesn't really act like a bard. And they could have been more fantastical with their creatures and just overall stuff. But my rating is going to be a 5 out of 5.
Ooh, 5 out of 5. Oh my god! All right, Lisa,
Or
your rundown.
9 out of 10. I don't know.
Okay, so pros for Dungeons and Dragons: the cast, the map. It didn't take itself too seriously. Michelle Rodriguez stole the show, and the ending. I thought it wrapped up very nicely. The cons were Chris Pine seemed too much like Jason Bateman. I wanted more wizards. And then the super picky, I wish that the ending with the choosing the tablet would have ended up a little differently between the father and the daughter. So this is probably 4 out of 5.
Ooh,
Still high,
all right.
still high. All right, we're still friends.
4 out of 5. A lot of pressure for me on this rundown now.
Jason's gonna be like 1.3 out of 5.
You called it. All right, yes. My pros are this Dungeons and Dragons felt like a dungeon master was controlling it. The film looked very beautiful. The pacing of this movie was perfect. Hugh Grant is a king among kings, and I'm not going to king shame him. It had the right mix of humor, drama, action, and heart. And my cons are the bald head woman that was the supervillain I felt like too easy to beat. And I wish that Sophia Lilly had better direction because I felt like she was very stale in this performance. But I would, siding with Lisa, give this a 4 out of 5. I thoroughly
Close enough to
enjoyed
5.
this
I'm gonna
movie.
just say in my head you gave him 5 out of 5s. Yay!
Yeah. And you can do that in your head. That works.
Sure, that works.